Trigger warning: infidelity, assault, self-harm attempt, mental health. I caught my wife, who was 13 years old, cheating with a co-worker. Part 2. Update 5. Hey everyone, so I am already being asked about whether I had Christmas with the OBS. The answer is yes, I did. It was very nice. Honestly, it was wonderful. The whole day was really amazing, all things considered. I laid out a lot of the girls' presents from Santa. This will probably be the last year my oldest believes in Santa, so I need to make it count. Anyway, I lay out the presents early, still dark with no sun. And the girls wake up probably within 15 minutes, saying that Santa had come. I drag my tired arse out of bed, and the girls open their presents. They were very happy. After I popped on a movie, the girls snuggled up next to me, and they fell asleep instantly. I eventually got up and made some coffee. My youngest woke up and said, "I am hungry, Daddy." So, I put an apron on her and let her help me make breakfast. My oldest then woke up, and we ate. They played with their presents and had a blast. It made me very happy. I need them to get ready later in the evening so they can go see their mother and grandmother. I am usually more strict with them about being ready, but with everything happening, I will admit I have been more lenient. They get ready and say they really don't want to go see their mom. I told them that their mom loved them. My therapist has said I need to encourage their relationship for proper growth. Plus, if I don't, she said my wife could use it against me in court as isolation. She said the girls can make the decision to have a relationship with their mother when they are older. Also, my wife knows of the therapist, and they have talked. She basically told my wife that you betrayed your husband, and it is clear that your husband is the girl's favorite. They are going to need to see a lot from you for them to eventually trust and love you again. Then I said, don't punish grandma for your mother's actions. Go for grandma. They agreed. I took them, and it was pretty easy going. I got there and called my MIL. She came out and grabbed the girls' things. They were going to stay the night for Christmas. My mom asked if they could. I asked my lawyer, and she said it was fine. However, don't leave them there for days or do it often. But that night was fine. I did tell the girls that if they wanted to come home at any time, all they had to do was call me, and I would come get them. As I was leaving, my STBX walked out. I don't know what they said, but my STBX said something to my MIL with a confused face, and my MIL gave her a stern face. I think no. My STBX looked at me with tears in her eyes and waved. I just drove off. I had left food in the oven and everything warm for the OBS to show up. She eventually did, and when she arrived, she didn't have her toddler. I asked where they were. She said that I guess her in-laws wanted to see them for Christmas, as did their father. Basically, she ran the same deal as me through our lawyer. I was like, okay. She was in a very pretty dress, leggings, fluffy boots, and a nice wig. We ate dinner and just talked about our past and got to know each other. After dinner, we went to the couch, and I turned on the movie. We talked about other stuff. Eventually, I got a bottle of wine. I don't drink often, but I usually like a certain wine on Christmas. She asked if she could have some. I said, "Are you okay?" She said yes, so I gave her some. Our conversation basically went from our past, to our interest, to our current issues, and eventually to joking and laughing. As we drank more, we joked more. 2 bottles later, that never happens, our conversation turns sexual. Basically, kinks, what we want or miss, and other stuff. We both found out that we are similar in this aspect. Pretty much everything we are. She said that your wife was lucky and messed up. I said so, as did your husband. I know some of you said I should affirm her last try at me by saying that she is pretty, but I just thought it was a bad thing to do when it came to sex. I did, and she said she knew. I said you could actually take that wig off if you didn't want to leave it. I said you would look amazing without it. You are very beautiful with a pixie cut. She did and cried out a thank you. We kept talking about that stuff, and eventually we started watching a movie about cuddling. Now, mind you, you were both inebriated. When me and my wife used to cuddle, my STBX actually liked it, and it relaxed her when I would rub her breast. Not like hard groping or pinching nipples, but more like a bob massage. I was doing it to her out of habit. Eventually, she said that felt good. I freaked out, stopped, and said, "I am so sorry, I didn't realize I was even doing it." She said it was fine and asked if I would keep doing it, as it felt good and relaxed her. I asked, "Are you sure?" She said yes, so I did. I was not going to lie, I was aroused. She noticed and started rubbing me. I went whoops. "I am sorry." She asked if I wanted her to stop. I said don't feel like you have to or anything. She said she wants to. So we did that for a few minutes before she kissed me, and I did kiss her back. This eventually led to her unzipping my pants and her giving me my head. I then forced her down. Consensually, something we discussed and gave her an oral, which then led to some very rough sex in the living room, kitchen, and office. We eventually ended up in my bed, where we had more passionate lovemaking. Lots of kissing and very slow sex. When we finished, we cuddled, cried, and eventually fell asleep. The next morning, we ate breakfast and got showered. I asked, "Did you plan on this?" She laughed and said no. A girl always has an extra pair of clothes. She then asked me as she was leaving, "Did you feel anything last night?" I was honest and said yes. However, we need to make sure that we are worried about us and our kids, and these feelings aren't false. She agreed and said we would explore them later. She actually gave me a kiss on the cheek and thanked me for a great night. I said I would text you later. I went and picked up my girls, and they actually had a good time. They said mom was on her best behavior for the most part. So yeah, right now I just finished preparing dinner, and will be spending the evening with my girls. Thank you, everyone. These Reddit posts are like my therapy, lol. Update 6. Hey everyone, I know it has been a couple months since I last updated. Things have just been very busy, so this won't be too long. Also, I don't blame many of you for thinking this is fake. Reddit is full of liars, SHT stormers, and storytellers. Anyway, girls are doing much better between their therapist and activity. They are having a much better time. They are still having their moments, but they are doing much better. As for me and OBS, we still talk almost daily but have done nothing physical since. We have met once since, and we discussed that even though we do not regret what we did, we shouldn't have done it. Now for my STBX. For a few weeks after Christmas, she was still trying pretty hard to get me to talk to her. However, that has, for the most part, stopped. She now works as a lawyer. My lawyer was made aware of this and has said that our meetings will be coming soon. She has realized that I am actually done and that she can't get me to change my mind. I am sure they will want to try reconciliation, but that will not be happening. She is still calling and texting me every now and again to try to get me to reconsider, but she gets left on hold. As to the OBSX, he has actually been arrested. Not too much detail for now, but I guess he confronted my STBX at work, and they got into a verbal altercation where she threatened to call the cops. He then assaulted her, which led to the workers there getting involved and pretty much dropping him. Cops showed up and arrested him, and STBX is pressing charges. I am sure he will be getting a lawyer against her for their affair, but I haven't heard anything. MIL told me this and said you can see her if you want. I guess he blacked her eye and busted her lip, but she said karma is a bee and this is hers, so. I have not seen my wife, nor have the girls, since the incident. Other than this, unless something crazy happens, you probably won't hear from us until after our first meeting with our lawyers. Update 7. Hey everyone, I just wanted to give a quick update on everything. First, I need to apologize. I did not update you after our first meeting with our lawyers. A lot has just happened, and life gets in the way sometimes. However, I am going to try to summarize as much as I can. To begin, my girls. They are not as good as I was hoping. They were making really good progress, and were doing much better. However, as the day gets closer to the divorce and they realize we are actually separating, they both begin to really have issues. Their therapist said that the girls accepted it but really thought you two would work it out, realizing you aren't as hitting them hard. My youngest is doing okay, but my oldest is actually very concerned. She is actually depressed, and it is concerning to me. I am taking the proper precautions with her therapist and doing what she recommends. She herself is saying we may have to medicate her for a while, but I am resistant. However, it may get to a point where that is the only option. My oldest is an in shape and healthy girl, but I have noticed some of her clothes not fitting. I don't think she is eating as much, and I have discussed with her doctor putting things in her food to help her gain weight. I hope we can get this figured out because she is really starting to scare me. I feel I have failed as a father because I have never wanted my daughter to be like this. I am not religious, but if you can please pray for my daughters. Next, as usual, me and OBS are still in contact every day. We are getting along great, and things are getting easier. However, there is some bad news for her. No, it has nothing to do with her health or her child. Thank goodness. However, here, STBX has skipped town. I am not surprised by this. He left shortly after he was bailed out for assaulting my sister. I came to find out that my ex was the last to have contact with him. I guess my suspicions were correct. She was going to press charges, and he threatened to sue due to their affair and claimed she used her power over him to initiate the affair. She dropped the charges, he wasn't going to sue, and he left. No one knows where, and his parents claim they have no idea. Do I believe them? No, but I have no way of proving that. As for our meeting with our lawyers, there was not a lot of drama, to be honest. It was basically just my lawyer making my demands. After the incident with AP, I pushed for full custody. My lawyer laid out everything that I wanted. Her lawyer didn't even listen. He said that, for the sake of the children, you two need to reconcile. My lawyer laughed and said there was no chance in hell. She brought up everything that has happened with what she did, the issues with AP, etc. He said these are our demands, or we will see you in court. Once again, he just wanted to reconcile. My lawyer said it very well, and we will see you in court. 2 weeks later, I got a call from my lawyer. She agreed to all terms as long as she got the girls 2 weekends a month and alternating holidays. She originally said all weekends, but my lawyer said no. I agreed to the terms. She is still their mother, and I hope she has learned to make our girls the priority after all of this. My STBX looked awful. She is borderline anorexic, looks like she has aged 10 years, and I even think her hair may be failing out. Even though I do not love her, she is still the mother of my daughters, and I do not like seeing her that way. I asked my MIL to get her some help. She said this was her punishment. I said she was still your granddaughter's mom and your daughter. She needs to be there for them and needs help. So she is currently working with her to get her back to the way she was. She has actually left me a note to meet with her in person, in public, one time before the divorce to talk. I did agree, and we are meeting sometime next week to have one final talk. It will be recorded and made public. We are still married, but the end is in the first week of July. So a few more weeks, and it will be over. Thank you all for the support, and I hope to be on the other side very soon. Update 8. Hey everyone, sorry I didn't update earlier, but I have just caught up with everything, especially with 2 active young ladies during the summer. I am going to hit just a quick few points, then get to my STBX and our meeting. Against my better judgment, we have decided to put my oldest on medication for a while. I discussed this with her primary, her therapist, and my STBX. She will be on the lowest dosage possible until everything settles. Once we see that she seems to have adapted to the way of life, we will start weaning her off of them. My youngest seems to be adjusting well, with no real issues. She does say she wishes we would live together again, but she understands why. She is very smart for her age. We have no clue where AP is. He has pretty much vanished. Me and OBS still talk every day. Now to the part I am sure you want to hear. Me and my ex met at the park where we usually took our girls. Everything was videoed in case she tried something. She didn't. Most of our discussion was about the girls, and she agreed that it was best if they stayed with me full-time for a while during our separation. She said she just isn't in the right mindset to be a mom right now. She said, clearly, I have failed as a mother, and I need to learn how to be one again. Like I said, there is no real need to go into detail about that because it was mainly discussing the girls. Now for the final part. As I got up to leave, I decided it was better to just leave with that information. She did ask if we could stop the divorce, get counseling, and try again. I said absolutely not. I told her that with everything you said and did to me, everything you allowed AP to say and do to me, remind her that she knows what he did to his wife and child. Everything she did to our girls. I am like, do you really think you deserve a second chance? She said no. At this point, I was pretty fired up. I started talking about how I loved her, gave up my career for her and our girls, and did everything for her. She, of course, started crying. Eventually, I just stopped. She said she was sorry. I of course responded with, sorry, don't mean SHT anymore. I then, for some reason, asked, what the hell was going through your head when you started this SHT? Now, I don't know if anyone on here said anything about this, but I do know someone sent me a link to a video on YouTube where some guy read it, and he and others started discussing my situation. I kind of skimmed through the comments, and many of them were right based on what she said next. She blurted, and I quote, I wanted to be the one at home. I had a confused look on my face. Then it all came out of her. She never wanted to run her dad's business. She wanted me to. She never wanted to work 40+ hours at the business. She wanted to be a mom and wife. She just kept going. I wanted you to take over and run it. I wanted to be the homemaker. I wanted to be the one waiting at home with meals. I wanted to be the one playing and taking care of our girls. I never wanted to be a breadwinner. I never wanted to be a business owner. She literally went on for a good 30 minutes, spouting this. After she was done, she looked like she was about to pass out. I just went, then why did you make me quit my job and say you wanted to run the business? She said, I wanted you to say I would do it. I was like, not my business. I have never worked in that field before, so I would have no clue what was going on. Plus, I said, wouldn't it be kind of awful of me to say I would run your dad's business? She said that was what she wanted. I then said, why didn't you say that? Apparently she wanted me to say it because she didn't want to admit wanting to be a stay-at-home wife. I then blew up and was like, all of this over some stupid pride. I was like, I wouldn't have cared if you wanted to be at home and admitted to it. I was so angry at this point, and I still am. I then asked, what does that have to do with the affair? She said that during the pandemic and towards the end, she was working so many hours, and she got jealous and angry about the fact that I was at home with the girls. The AP, I guessed, picked up on that and started telling her all those nasty things about me and how, if I were a real man, she could be at home. So, that led to the affair, and she said she did it once and tried to end it. He said okay, but started talking ill of me again and how she could be home, and she kept doing that. And eventually that became a consistent thing. Basically, she would try to end it, and he would insult me and make her angry and envious, and she would go back to having the affair again, which led to her being mean and nasty with me because of stupid jealousy that could have been avoided with communication from day one. At that point, she said she just wanted her family back and for things to be back to normal. I was so devastated and angry that I just got up and left. So after that, there has been a lot of anger in my heart, and I am just pissed off. Edit. Also, I forgot to mention that, I guess, back around late last year, she was pregnant with AP's child. She ended up having an abortion. MIL told me that she was acting odd and seeming sick, and I thought she was faking it for attention. Nope, she was pregnant. That is another reason she was going crazy at this time. Sorry for adding this after. I meant to add it originally, but I repenned this and submitted it before adding it. Update 9. Sorry to everyone for not posting in 3 months. This will be quick, but I just thought I should give a few updates. Girls are doing better. We are already slowly taking my daughter off the pills as she is doing better. The divorce is final. Me and OBS are still not dating, but we do go out when we can to talk and be a little sane. AP is now in jail and is facing prison time. My ex tried to commit self-harm shortly after the divorce, but is okay now. However, she is being monitored frequently. To summarize, on the day of the divorce, she didn't show up. The judge just signed the papers for me, and poof, it was done. I later called my ex and said, I don't know what you were trying to pull, but the papers are signed and it's official. About a week later, I get a call from my ex-mother-in-law, who is frantic. I ask her what's wrong. She found my ex in her bed, foaming from the mouth from prescription pills. She was not sure how she got them. She had already called an ambulance, and they were taking her to the hospital. She was not allowed to ride in the ambulance with her. I went to one of my neighbors, who has kids around the same age as my girls, to see if they could watch them. They did, thankfully. The girls and those kids get along very well, and they rushed to the ER. I got there, but they wouldn't let me in and said they had to get her stable. Around an hour later, the doctor comes out and says that she is fine and that it seems she will make a full recovery, but they will need to do some tests to make sure her brain or any other part wasn't damaged. Thankfully, none were. I waited at the hospital till she woke up. I was so angry at her. How could she do this? I'll admit, I was holding her hand and was distraught. When she woke up, she squeezed my hand. At this point, I just sat there. After a while, she started coming and seemed to be okay. She knew who I was, so that was a good sign. She started crying, and I told her not to cry. I told her that when her mother got back, she had to go get some things because they were going to keep her for monitoring, and that I had to get the girls. She tried to talk to me, but I told her she needed to rest. I left, and since then we have had good talks. No, we are not getting back together. Although she told me she would wait for me. If it means forever, then she will. I told her forever is a long time. She is back to normal, has no damage, and is moving on fine. I heavily guilt-tripped her about the girls and asked if she would be okay with them not having their mother. That kind of snapped her out of her slump. We are working more as a team for the girls now, but she is still wanting us to reconcile. No chance. AP eventually showed up and tried to break into the OBS house. She had officially divorced him and taken the house. Thankfully, where we live, a judge can just officiate the divorce if they see fit. When he did OBS, he called the cops and thankfully arrived in time. OBS was defending their child from him. I know it sounds awful, but thankfully they are infants and won't remember. Basically, she locked the door and called the cops. He broke the door and tried to take the child, but she wouldn't let him. He beat her, punched her, kicked her, and threatened to unalive her. She has had the recording since her child was young, like a baby camera. He then tried to ESA her, but thankfully the cops showed up before this happened and were able to arrest him. He is looking at a lot of time. Plus, they later found he was drunk and high. I had an illegal gun in the car and drugs. So, there is a good chance this evil posse will never see the light of day again. I have been helping her a lot, and so has one other person. My ex-MIL, since she found out what happened, she has been helping her a lot. Helping with bills, cooking, cleaning, and raising her child. My ex-MIL looks at this child as another grandchild, and OBS is happy about it. His parents want nothing to do with her or the child now. So, it's just her. Thankfully, my ex-MIL is fire and brimstone, but she is also a warm-hearted woman. So, they have been helping. She has refrained from telling my ex about it. I am sure she knows, though, as it is the talk of the town. So, from my understanding, people have noticed that she seems to be so disappointed in herself that she can't stand it. That's pretty much it at this point. I did promise an update where I said how the serving went, and that it would happen in the future. I will probably do one more update and then be done with this forever. Thank you all for the support. Thank you for watching the video. If you enjoy listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.